All right, it's time for another edition of the Extra Point. It's week number 10 here in the North Florida, Big Bend, Panama City Beach area. And I haven't had a chance to digest the whole of the season, but man, it's been a wild ride so far. 2 weeks left. And actually, for quite a few, man, I think for like maybe two or three teams, this is it, end of the road. They're going to be wrapping up the season for those teams who chose to get an extra buy-in at the end of the year. This will be it for them. But other than that, man, it's been a great high school football season thus far, with plenty on deck for the playoffs. But we're just kind of I don't know what we talk about. Do we switch and start talking about the NFL? It's just not a whole lot. Uh, Man, happy homecoming to everybody at FAM. It was a great homecoming. Man, much needed victory on the field. We just gonna skip over the whole debacle out there on the West Coast with Florida State and Stanford. I had a funny feeling about that game since I saw it. I was just like, man, I thought in the beginning I had it in my mind that FSU was gonna take on Stanford at home, and then I was just like, oh man, this is this is over on like West Coast, which means it's like somewhere like 10:30 at night was kickoff, and that game did not wrap till like what, almost 2 a.m.
About
It went
2:30 in the
exactly
East
how I
Coast.
expected. I just had a funny feeling about that game, so we'll leave it alone. Sorry, Eddie.
Yeah. Oh no, no, yeah, it's a safe bet right now because I got so much that I want to say, but I won't.
Hey man, it'll be okay. At
You
least
say that
fam,
now.
at least fam, you won. At
Yes,
least
yes. That
fam, you
that
won.
that that just numbs the pain. It don't make it go away though.
No decision on any coaching changes for FAMU or Florida State to the end of the year. So, hey, we just gonna ride until the wheels fall off. We're here now. We're in it. Ticket prices couldn't be lower. So it started out great, man. Jake Paul was on the sidelines. We were the hit team, and then man, it doesn't get any worse than this. But yeah, no coaching changes on either side until the end of the year. We're gonna let Mike Norvell ride it out. Him and Gus Malzahn, the experiment. We're gonna let that ride out. They could still be bowl eligible. There's still a lot to play for. Looking more like the Independence Bowl, but hey, it is what it is. Uh, but at least we get a chance to kind of see where things are could potentially head. There's still a major coaching carousel that could still happen. Penn State already made some moves. Florida made a huge move. So you never know. If things get any worse, they may pull the plug. But I think if it were safe money should be that Norvell probably will end the season and then they'll make some changes. I just think that, for the most part, that's still a lot of money to cough up before the end of the year. But we'll see. I think is Florida State still paying Jimbo? I think we're still paying Jimbo.
I don't know about that.
No, I think
They
that
should be
I think
finished with that.
that's already finished. The
They,
Willie
they
Taggart
only
situation is
paying
already
one coach.
finished.
He's
So
But
one.
we
But if you
paid
get
Jimbo, we paid
if you
Taggart.
if you fire a coach, right? You remember you got to hire a new one. He gonna get paid, so you're gonna be paying two at the same time. So look at Florida. A Florida plan would be paying three
Yeah.
when they get a new coach because they still paying Dan Mullen.
I
Paying.
think Florida's
And
budget is significantly higher than Florida State, right?
wow,
I think so.
he's not
wow.
lying. I mean, I think I
Yeah,
think
I think
I
Penn,
think
Penn
Mark, you're
State
right.
got money to burn, man. They could afford to do. There was a rumor that Adidas was in on that. So,
Wow.
but hey, this is I think we've exited dynasty mode in the college football ranks. I don't know who's going to emerge. The CFP playoff rankings, don't they come out this week? Or is it
They
next week?
already out. I think this week it came out yesterday, didn't it?
Oh, it came out yesterday. Okay. College football
I
playoff
didn't.
rankings
I didn't look
debuting.
at it. I didn't look at it. So
It's but
stupid.
it's that weird time of year where it's just like you go to ESPN.com and like you might get a hockey game, you might get a basketball game. Uh,
Football,
Still
Monday,
football
Tuesday,
season. It's just
Wednesday,
that weird time of year.
every day of the week, baby.
Yeah, this is normally around the time where you have Conference USA and MEC action, those midweek games on a Tuesday and Wednesday night.
And I watched it last night.
Oh yes, those Miami Vice jerseys by FIU were nice.
I saw Willis Simmons' team struggle against Mark Kennesaw State. Put it on.
Yeah, KSU up close. They got a decent.
I mean,
squad.
they beat them. They beat them. They 5-1. They were 6-1 now. So
yeah, great.
They just got in Division I. Man, it might. You know, they're leading the conference. They're undefeated in their conference, which is kind of surprising for a new team in the conference and the Division I.
Yeah, new changes are coming too.
Just yet, I think.
So what?
I said I haven't seen the CFP rankings.
Let me look and see.
I don't think they come out exactly
till AP poll was just as terrible as it did week number 3. Like it's still kind of trash. But yeah, there'll be a moment at some point or another where they'll get a chance to. They normally do like a big CFP release show or something like that here in the next week or two. But yeah, it'll be another wild ride come college football playoff. There's a universe where according to the rankings, like I never thought I'd seen Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech where they are, but they're in the top 10. Miami lost, so I guess there's some solace for some Florida State fans. Ohio State sitting back at number 1. And behind them is Indiana. This is just the twilight zone. Indiana, BYU, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt are all in the top 15 right now. So it's just this is how we rolling in 2020, 25, 2026.
I like it, man. I honestly like it, man. And I say respect to the Commodores. The days of picking on Vanderbilt as the doormat of the SEC are over. Like that team's got some respect now. Give it to them.
Yeah, they've made a ton of investment. I don't know if you've been to Nashville lately, but they have absolutely put a ton of money into their facilities. So yeah, they're getting the recruits in. So it's not surprising, but yeah, just the top 25. I don't think we've ever seen it like this in our lives. So,
no, not at all. At least growing up as a kid, like I've never seen this.
But yeah,
it's funny, Eddie. How old are you?
How old do you think I am? How old do you think I am?
25.
Oh, flattering, but nah. I ain't gonna tell my age for these people.
When you say when you was a kid, that wasn't too long ago.
Oh, you got jokes. Hey, I'm gonna take it easy on you because we live right now. We keeping it football.
Well, I'm gonna dye my hair next. I'm gonna dye my hair next week, so I look younger.
Not too much movement in the FHSAA rankings, but yeah, we've got definite district champions that have wrapped up their districts. I think we have maybe 1 or 2 scenarios where there's still a few teams that might be still playing for something. There's a scenario there with Wakulla hosting Baker County, where that could have some implications. But for the most part, it's been pretty solid as far as like the last couple of weeks. Since we went over the kind of some early level playoff scenarios. We'll get a chance to break it all down after this week on next week's show. But let's go ahead and jump back into what I like to call the rewind. Traditionally, it's been the rewind, but we'll get a chance to talk about week number 9. Not number 9, but week number 9 as we go into week number 10. And it's very interesting how everything has shaped up over the past week or so as we've gotten to a point now where there's just I want to say I think we'll have significantly less games going into next week than we usually do on the slate, because a lot of teams backloaded that bye week and tried to bookend it with the hurricane week that's already built in. But let's go ahead and jump back into it. Week number 9 scores around the area, man. Got to go ahead and talk about it. First things first, I will say that, man, the Florida High Madison game, we knew this one was going to be a big one. I expected it to be a little bit closer, but Madison absolutely turned on the juice last Friday. This was a much needed win for them at home, and I think for the Cowboys, it's really just if anything, it's one of those that just kind of gives you just a little bit of sprinkle of momentum going into what will be a very exciting 1A, rural playoff scenario that was coming up for them. But being able to take down Florida High like that, and then they've got a pop cut coming up on the following week, where a pop cut I think is 1-6. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, Madison had a great opportunity at home to kind of catch their bearings, and they look pretty solid against Florida High.
Man, I think I said it last week. One of the most dangerous teams with a losing record in the whole rural division of winning state championships, playing high quality football, playing up constantly, and they're prepared for playoffs when they do that, because they're not going to meet very many teams tougher than ones they played during the regular season, and it helps when you get to the playoffs to do that. And I'm looking for them to, finish the season off with a victory. They're looking really good, and they look like they're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That Florida High game, I was keeping up with it, and at one point, Florida High brought it within 7 against Madison County. I'm like, okay, they're keeping up, but afterwards, I saw that Madison County went back up by 2 touchdowns and was able to pull away with the 20-point victory. So I'm like, yeah, they're definitely now prepping themselves up for the postseason. And yeah, this team, of course, when they get into playoff mode, there's no telling what Madison County is going to be capable of when they start that new playoff journey. And I mean, plays like that are example of it.
Yeah, I think that was the Naquez Christian touchdown. That was nasty. And Coach, I think, hit it right on the head. Madison County is figuring it out offensively. That was kind of the knock early in the season, and they've legit got it rolling, which I think is very dangerous for people in the role classification. The run game's going to be there. They had a situation where Florida High was able to rip off 2 long pass plays. I think it was, Williams and June, respectively. So like Eddie said, they get it back to 1 possession. But then Wakulla goes on an my goodness, I'm mixing all my teams up. Madison County going on an absolute back-breaking 8-minute drive to just totally deplete it, get back up by 2 scores. They come back. Then they had the pick 6. Rashad Miller runs the pick 6 back, and then Madison kind of seals the deal. But they're getting stronger. As you look at it, you feel good about Madison's position now, despite the record, of course, being 3-5. But you get the big plays like this.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about, right, Jupe? Wow.
They got it going on right now. Dangerous. And it's not just the run game, too. You saw it, and they broke loose in the secondary. Crumity put it on the money, and that was a nice toss. So not just a run situation.
Yeah, you talk about the offense figuring it out. So has the defense. And I mean, if this team can score on both sides, oh my goodness. Yeah, the rule classification division is in danger.
Yeah, Madison still has, in my opinion, I think they still have enough to run. I think, and I don't like looking so far ahead, but you can't help but see the kind of the runaway train between Bluntstown and Madison County. Just kind of like that would be a dream matchup, I think, for the most part. And that looks like, as far if I had to call it, that looks like something that could potentially happen. If we had a little betting kind of a segment, we could definitely kind of put some on that. But I just can't help but think that, like, man, that kind of matchup just looming ahead, it's hard to ignore.
Same could be even said for a potential matchup between Madison County and Taylor County. You never know.
The south or the lower end of that bracket, it really depends on the seeding here. the lower end of that bracket could be an absolute gauntlet. So if you throw it how it is now, you would have Hawthorne, Taylor County, Pahokee, Madison,
And
all on the
Chiefly.
bottom half of that bracket. So you'd have
Dang.
kind of Bluntstown by themselves. They would get the one, and you like Bluntstown in that situation. But if the standing stood, they would all be on that bottom half of the bracket.
Isn't Chiefland somewhere in that mix? Because I would think that we would be able to.
Is Chiefland a rural team?
I believe they are.
Oh,
I think Chiefland is in the rural class division. So yeah, but are they further up in the rankings and the standings?
Well, they're third, so they would also be on the bottom half of the bracket. Yeah, I forgot Chiefland. But you know, if you think about kind of the positioning,
man, those matchups are going to be something else because it looks like it's going to no easy games. It's no easy games in that division.
That's the hard part. You're going to see a lot of good teams, really good teams, go home early. Like when you look at just how, from top to bottom, just the top 10, you have Bluntstown, Hawthorne, Chiefland, then Taylor County, then Pahokee, then Lafayette, Williston, Baker, then Chipley, and Madison County at number 10. So those are your top 10 teams right there.
Wow.
And that's just, in the way the rule works, they don't have the region breakdowns or anything like that. So it's just, hey, we're just going to load them up. And I think it's the top 16?
16.
Yeah. So 16 teams. And once you get past Madison, it goes Fort Meade, Liberty County, Branford, which Branford surprisingly has a 6-2 record. Then Trenton, and then right at number 15 and 16 are Sneads and Port St. Joe, respectively. Now, on the outside looking in is Fort White, Cottondale, Holmes County. And Holmes County had, I think, literally last week, that probably, and I'll have to check again, but the way everything is set up for the playoffs, when you look at Holmes County, that was like them being able to beat Mariana was like a huge boost to their, because they opened up the season with 3 straight losses, and it's like now you're sitting in at number 18, and you're literally a touchdown away from being undefeated. Because the first 3 losses were 12-8, 9-8, 19-18. So it's like it's really that close. And if they don't make it, they have the opportunity to opt into, what is it, the Invitational,
Florida Invitational, FIT.
And I can see them absolutely just wrecking the entire bracket. It's just crazy how it works out like that, because with them sitting at your top 20, or should I say from 15 to 20 is Port St. Joe, Fort White, Cottondale, Holmes County at 18, Jay, and then Hamilton County. So
that is, it's so close, Mark. Like you look between 16, the 16 seed and the 20 seed is basically negligible. So there's not like anybody's jumping in the margin. It's a pick 'em at this point for that last seed. Any one of those 5 teams, to me, within a 1 week span will flip, and there will be movement. Right now, Port St. Joe is the lucky team that gets Bluntstown in the first round. But you get in, right? But then you look at the brackets once you get in.
And I believe Holmes County has they've got a date with Bluntstown this Friday. So it's like, if you want to get into the playoffs, you're gonna have to prove it against what would be your potential first round matchup. So and what's strange to say is that might be one of the more bigger challenges that Bluntstown might face in the latter stretch of this season, because Bluntstown will have a bye to close things out. Should they take care of business out against Home County, they'll finish with a perfect 9-0 record. So it's just crazy how everything is going right now. But But yeah, to look at Madison and to see what they were able to do, that was a huge, crucial win for the Cowboys as they take it over Florida High, 41-21. Um, the and really just to be and just to look at it for what it is, Florida High still. I mean, it was a bit of a concept, but the turnovers just really kind of killed a lot of their momentum. And the ground game never really got cranked up against the Cowboys as well. So, but Florida High falls to 4-4. We'll get into their matchup, their week number 10 matchup in just a minute. Let's keep it going. Moving around, McClay handles business against NFC, the battle for Meridian Road, 43-20. And we talked about the history of this kind of rivalry and how it was just really all heavily in NFC's favor, and McClay has just kind of as of late has tipped the scales. But Marauders have put together a great stretch of and really a surprising run, because we didn't know what this team was going to look like coming into this year. They had graduated a lot of faces that were just crucial to that playoff run they made last year. But McClay really in the driver's seat right now. They are the number one team in the region for their particular classification. If I go back down to 1A, no, I take that back. They're actually the second. They're the second team. They were the number one as of last week, but University had a big win. So they're right behind University. I think not even 600ths of a point behind University Christian out of Jacksonville. So they're sitting in at the 2 spot, which might aid them in the playoffs. But for right now, they're exactly where they want to be. They put together a pretty stellar season with everything that they've had. I think the thing that stuck out to me the most is just how physical they are. So big win over NFC, 43-20.
Yeah, looks like McClay. I'm like you, Mark. Had no idea with the change in the coach, what kind of team they'd have, and looked like they hadn't missed a beat. They got a little better, only with one loss, and really most of the games they won handily. It is a testament to the coaching staff keeping these kids going and keeping it, even with the changes, the new faces. They play solid football, and we're very fortunate. We get to sit up most of the week, every week, and watch them play and get better and better and better. And it's kind of exciting to see. I think they got a couple of games left with some teams in the classes up, but they're having a great season. I don't know if they expected this. These guys are. I guess when you get used to winning, you just continue to do the same thing.
Absolutely, man. And it looks like I'm coming back to Florida in good timing. I would like to catch McClay in action as they get ready to go into the 1A class state playoffs, which is something that they're destined for. And to see the changes, new coach coming in, bringing in a whole new attitude, a new scheme and stuff, you'll be surprised at the changes that can happen instantly for a team that's already naturally good, but now becomes even better. And seeing from the highlights right here, you can just tell, like, wow, look at that, right up the middle.
There they go. They've been rolling. And so University gets the old bump in the playoff points. Of course, facing Hawthorne. So they lose to Hawthorne. But because of the strength of schedule, they jump McClay.
Yeah.
even though McClay won. So something to keep an eye on. And something that potentially McClay facing a 9-0 Deerfield-Windsor team next week could also benefit from the strength of schedule bump. But you see it here, Bashir. I think he had 3 touchdown tosses.
Yeah.
He's going to find his boy Richardson with one of those, and solid performance. And then also they got the ground game going, which you can see here.
Yeah.
I think Anthony White was a little dinged up the last couple of weeks, so they had been kind of not had him on ice, but definitely limited reps getting going there. And so good to see him back in full force. Over 100.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed with the ground game. A lot of what we saw was just a lot of the, just what they can do in the air, which is, their air attack, not questioning, but watching the ground game come to life, definitely at the right time, because you want to get this is actually the part of the season where a lot of guys that don't start get a lot of reps, because you want to know you can count on them in the playoffs. And McClay seems to have a very, very solid team. Um, but it's kind of one of those where it's just like how you look at the way the playoffs are shaped up and how teams are going to be positioned. McClay actually looks like they could have a shot at making another run again. It's a little bit more stacked with, I would definitely, when you look at the rankings again, you definitely see where things could get a little bit more interesting, because they do have districts and regions. But again, McClay sitting in that 2 spot, and then it looks like they would get there's a chance that they could see NFC again. NFC is sitting at, I think, number 8. One, two,
9.
yeah, number 9. So yeah, Eagles still got some work left to do. They're sitting like literally 300ths of a point behind North Florida Educational. So the way the schedule works out, the Eagles, I'm not sure, but I would expect to see the points kind of pile on against Franklin County if they can. That will be another quality win, and then they close out against Freeport. So Eagles have a great shot at being able to, kind of squeak into that number 8 spot. But ahead of them is Providence, Impact Christian, Trinity Catholic out of Ocala, Episcopal out of Jacksonville, Trinity Christian. Yes, that Trinity Christian out of Jacksonville, McClay, and then University. And for those who remember, McClay actually was, they were a quarter away from having their first state championship berth. That would have been historic. They were leading Trinity Christian in the third before the Conquerors had to come back. And, for McClay, I think it's another, it's another shot at making history.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, when you have a goal that is set that you want to achieve, I mean, you're going to go all out for it, truly, for McClay. And on the other side of it, too, I would like to see these two match up again, NFC and McClay, in the playoffs. However, like you said, the Eagles got some work to do, but that's so tough with all those schools that you just mentioned, Mark, ahead of them. I feel like their strengths of schedules are just a tad bit maybe stronger than NFC. So hopefully, if they can win out, they'll get that final spot. If not, maybe they too will also be headed to the FIT.
Yeah, we were talking about just the whole system of just how the rankings work and everything. I mean, far from perfect, but at least you can do some math. You can do some basic math and kind of figure out where you will land. But the interesting thing about that is that if you look across region number 1 in 1A, you've got Bowles sitting in there. You've got Pensacola Catholic, which is also sitting in there. You've got quite a few teams. Excuse me. Yeah, you've got. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong part. You've got. Excuse me. You've still got University Christian, and you got Trinity Christian sitting in there in that region that make things just very, very, very interesting. So for McClay, there'll be some tough games. I do think that they'll get a favorable opening, first round matchup. Moving forward from there, it's kind of a toss up, because now you're looking at who you might end up facing in that second round. Could be one of the big dogs. So, but for right now, McClay sitting exactly where they want to be with a 43-20 victory over NFC. Keeping it rolling through some other scores as we kind of move around some a little bit. Definitely got to talk about the Trinity Christian Lincoln Trojan matchup, and we'll run back through some of the other scores a little bit later. But Lincoln goes on the road, and for a lot of us, I really felt like the way Trinity Christian has been playing, it looks like they've improved down the stretch. And they just, for Lincoln, I expected to see the ground game kind of come alive like it's been. And man, they just ran into a buzzsaw, and the Trojans fall 32-14. And this was, I hate calling it a bad loss, but it was one of those where I felt like Lincoln had their opportunities and just weren't able to take advantage of them in that particular matchup.
Well, Mark, that's one of the tougher teams and one of the tougher places to play a football game. I have personally experienced. Never won a game there. They've always had a lot of talent. We probably don't know what they got because it's not our area, but that team has always got some talent, and you can't go in there half stepping. You better bring your A game because they have a quality head coach and they got quality staff there, and they got all kind of the school has got all kind of support. And playing a game there, it ain't an easy thing to do.
Yeah, this is like I want to say Lincoln's second or third rough loss on the road now this season. I think I remember a while back the game against what was that squad in Georgia, and then Nice, and now Trinity. I think it's just tough. I mean, to get to win on the road. I mean, I understand, and for most part, I thought this game would be closer. Really, I did, but looks can be deceiving sometimes, judging by a team's record. So, yeah.
It's not college, pro. These guys, these are young kids. Records don't mean nothing. You get somebody, like you said, I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. You don't know what the kids went through that week, and they might not. Their minds might not have been on what they should have been on, or just Trinity Christian just daggum good.
Yeah, you can see the ground game for the Conquerors getting rolling. Great move by the running back. But yeah, Lincoln never seemed to really get settled in. And Terrell Dallas, I had a chance to see him earlier in the season, and he is their offense in a good portion of it. Gets it done with his arms and his legs. It's just one of those where I think Lincoln, especially when you look at how difficult it is to defend against a mobile quarterback like that, you just got to have, kind of that rover star, person on defense that can just kind of sit back and just not let anything by him. And once again, for Lincoln, it was just got a high five mom there.
I didn't know they gave the parents VIP like seats behind the end zone. Wow.
That is one of the things, if you've ever been out there, like parents just pull up, chairs and they just sit around the edges. But you can see Lincoln had their opportunities. There's Jacobs getting in on the action, really put Lincoln back into the ball game. But yeah, just too many missed opportunities, especially on the defensive side, that allowed Trinity Christian to just kind of walk away with it. There you can see a big grab by the receiver there to haul that one in for another score. This is one of those where it's just like, okay, when you look at how Lincoln matches up in the playoffs, I definitely see where they could have. You definitely looking at man, you want to get some of the kinks worked out, because again, in their classification, that top region, again, you got Niceville, which you could have to see again. You're now playing for a little bit of seeding, a little bit among the other teams. Even though you're the district champion, you want to get some of this stuff kind of worked out, because you're going to have to see Mosley at some point. You may have to see Niceville again at some point. We've talked about the potential of like matching up against a Malin or a Fleming Island to start the playoff campaign, and potentially having to go on the road in the second round, depending on how the points match up. But this is one of those where it's just like, you're looking at the defense. Lincoln has been kind of up and down. They've built some momentum through a couple of games and then suffer a big loss. But honestly, for Lincoln, Jacobs is definitely, going to pick his spots there. It's really just the ground game. I think if the ground game can be a little bit more consistent and get rolling, they'll put some teams on their heels. Just haven't been able to sustain it.
It's hard running against Trinity Christian. I think anybody can tell you that. Yeah, the line looked big. They controlled kind of defensive. They had 9 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks on Jacobs, and they really jammed up the run game. And so it was hard to kind of showcase the balance. And there were so many penalties, gang, both sides, both teams. it was really hard to get into flow. I think Lincoln is one of the more flowy, is what I would call them. They get into that kind of rhythmic offense, and it kind of turns into a runaway train. But if you have the kind of stop and start, it's really tough to kind of get that rhythm going. And man, they would have loved to get the run game. That freshman's for real out there in Trinity Christian, though. That running back that you saw, freshman, went for over 200 yards. He's legit, because I thought they did pretty good in the pass game, big picture. And they led that game early a couple different times.
Yeah, they were completely shut out in the second half, which I think was surprising. And it's hard to like kind of judge a team just by a couple of halves. You want to be able to see, especially with Lincoln, it's just been in the games where they have stumbled, it's been a tale of two halves where you got to be able to kind of sustain things going through four quarters and allow, really allow your offense to kind of settle into a rhythm. And it just didn't happen for Lincoln that night, as they just fell to Trinity Christian on the road in Jacksonville, 32-14. Let me jump back up here to the top of the schedule, to the top of the slate. Continue working around. Osceola Christian was a big winner over Franklin County, 49-27. And don't look now, but your Osceola Christian Warriors now are sitting at, I believe, with only one loss on the year. I think it's
6-1, I believe,
right now. And so for Osceola Christian, this is everything that they were looking for out of a team that, again, they were a little bit of an enigma going into this season as well. But that was a huge victory against Franklin at home. So congrats to the Warriors that they were able to pull out the big senior night win against the Seahawks. Mosley blanks Arnold 49-0, and this is just one of those where Mosley just trying to establish dominance in Bay County with the big crosstown win. Defense played lights out, just kind of ran away with this one against the Marlins, 49-0. Mosley sitting atop the region as well with a 7-1 record. With 2 games left to play. They close out the year in 2 weeks against Florida High on October 30th. And this one kind of surprised me, but Rutherford falling to Bozeman, 27-51. I expected this one to be a little bit, really just closer. Given the district championship and everything on the line, and Rutherford being at home, man, Bozeman came in and did exactly what they wanted to do, as they are in the driver's seat for the district now. And I believe they're the champions, if I'm not mistaken.
Ask Juke.
Ask Juke.
Ask Juke.
I was going to say, I was just about to check that one. Sorry, go Coach. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, find out for us, because I was surprised at this game too. I thought that Rutherford seemed like they had turned the corner, and that Bozeman, that would be at least a close game. But Bozeman took care of business. Coach Pettis got those guys playing pretty good right now.
So they have another matchup against North Bay Haven, who is in the district. So it's Rutherford, Bozeman, North Bay Haven, and Mariana in the district. And so Bozeman can actually win things outright this Friday with a victory at North Bay Haven. But
right down the street.
Yeah, for the Bucks, they had the 3-game losing streak somewhere in the midpoint of the season. I think they fell to Bluntstown, Sneeds, and Mariana. The Sneeds one, that was 20-19. And, really for Bozeman, I think, what really got our attention was the victory over Leon, the 21-19 victory in the second week of the season. And, very quietly, they took the bye week off, but they've beaten Port St. Joe. That was a big win. They had the victory against, I think, Destin and then Rutherford. So Bozeman's quietly climbed back into the driver's seat. And with the victory over North Bay Haven, Bozeman can kind of go ahead and crown themselves district champion. Not just yet, though. But, for Rutherford, man, it was like there were some flashes there, especially when they played Going back a couple of weeks when they played North Bay Haven, they looked absolutely like a different ball club. And so just to see them take a step back where everything was still kind of in contention, where that could have put them in a great position because they've already had victories over Mariana and North Bay Haven. And man, it does not with the points now, it definitely doesn't look good for the Rams as far as playoff hopes. I think they definitely needed that one. But Bozeman back in the driver's seat with a 51-27 victory. They can close things out against North Bay Haven this Friday. This one we got to go ahead and jump into. Wakulla and South Walton linked up, and it was an instant classic, 38-36. South Walton takes it in overtime, and we were talking about this one prior to everything getting started there, and it's one of those where, man, just South Walton at home is a different team. I just gotta. I don't know if the turf is just faster or if they just enjoy the new digs that much, but going into the game, Wakulla had a lot of momentum just from the last couple of weeks. Had victories over Godby, Fort Walton Beach, Suwannee, respectively. Looked like they were really catching their rhythm and going into a groove there. And man, just running into South Walton at the wrong time on the road, a tough overtime loss. And there were moments in that one where I had a chance to watch a couple of clips from it. There were moments in that one where I believe they had a chance to kind of end it before it got to overtime and just couldn't sustain a drive or couldn't. And then I think they had a turnover. But this one couldn't have been at a better time for South Walton. This one actually boosts them in terms of the playoff rankings because this puts them at a nice 6-2 on the year right now. They've got a huge matchup coming against Pensacola Catholic, and then they close out the season against Mariana.
Well, I think all of us were a bit surprised. I thought Wakulla was rolling. They turned the corner. A couple of rough starts at the beginning of the season, and then get into this game and watching South Walton versus Florida High. And we talked about it. They're not the same team on the road as they are at home. And it's a brand new home, so they got a new stadium, new place, and they play different at home. I guess like most teams do, pro, high school, college. Was a surprise because this game ended up being very close. And Wakulla, like you said, had a chance to win. When you go into overtime, anything can happen. And usually the home team has an advantage. They home, and you try to do. You hope everything fall in the right place. And unfortunate loss for Wakulla, but hey, South Walton, they flexing right now when they go home.
Yeah, bummed out to see Wakulla come up short in this one. I mean, at one point they were down like 2.5 scores, and you thought it was out of reach, but they somehow found a way to rally back and to at least bring it into overtime. Just goes to show you that this team has the will to keep fighting, and I think that's something to keep an eye out for once we get closer to the playoff push, and especially in next week's matchup that's coming up that we're going to be talking about here real soon.
Yeah, Wyatt Brown got free on that big touchdown. But yeah, South Walton, to y'all's point, 6-1 at home, only loss to Big Bad Choctaw. So look for them. And they're looking good on points. They're looking good on points.
They lost to Florida High.
Where did they lose to Florida High, Coach?
Early in the season.
Where was that game played?
At Florida High.
Hey, if they get a 3 seed, looks like a home game to me.
That's a home game.
Look out.
Well, when you got a new stadium, you want to play good for the home folks. So.
Yeah, they got that Niceville schedule, Coach. They got that 7 home games this year. So.
My goodness.
Hey, we're not talking about Niceville. Hey.
But yeah, Wakulla climbed back into this one, trailed really at halftime by 7, 21-14. Opened up with the fourth quarter, was able to, when the fourth quarter opened up, they were able to get 2 scores to send it into overtime. 7-7 at the end of regulation in the first overtime period, and then South Walton boots the field goal to put it away. A lot of what and it is, you got to kind of throw in, a certain amount of just, and I don't even know how you would calculate it, but if you gotta, if you're at home, it just gives you, it's good for an extra touchdown or two, depending on where you're at, and just understanding that, hey,
Be
South Walton
careful.
might be South Walton, at the Shack, and then there's South Walton at home. So it looks like the Seahawks, man, they're just a different team, and for everything that I've seen, Wakulla had all the stat lines you'd want to see: 218 yards on the ground. Uh, but Owen Cleese was really the offense for the War Eagles that night. 150 yards rushing on 22 carries, and then 25 of 42 with 353 in the air. Just when you got a quarterback as dynamic as him, it can be a gift and a curse, because it's just like, for the defense, you know where the offense is running through, but it puts a lot of just like, he definitely causes a lot of defenses to really remain honest. But then at the same time, you're also looking for that secondary guy to catch, to kind of catch up. And it looks like it's Wyatt Brown. He had a monster night, 178 yards receiving through the air. But man, it was very hard to keep up with what was happening on the South Walton side. JD Brown was not, didn't have huge numbers, but was definitely effective. 12 of 19 passing for 188. And then running back by committee for really on the ground for the Seahawks. But this is where things get interesting. 8 different guys got in on the receiving action for the Seahawks. But yeah, for for Grant Gilmore, he's still I think he scored in every game just about for South Walton on the receiving end. So as far as I can tell, it just looks like, they're just gonna be a tough out at home, like so many other teams are.
And yeah, JD Brown had a sweet game, though. He was part of my 2x2 club. A number of Panhandle quarterbacks, 2 rushing touchdowns or more, and 2 passing touchdowns or more. Did you see that second quarter touchdown toss, like right before halftime?
The one that was
see
tipped?
that?
Was that the one that was tipped?
No, the one where he bootlegs left and he's like throwing a fadeaway as he gets hit. So he's getting hit in the chest, back of the end zone. I think it's Max Baker, I'm pretty sure, is the receiver. But at that point, Wakulla had led or been tied the whole game. After that touchdown, it was wild. South Walton never trailed after that point. They were able to take that momentum forward. Also, a wild fake field goal in double overtime by Wakulla.
Yeah.
Wild. Didn't work out, but I love the moxie on the road, breaking out the fake field goal in double OT.
That's what I like I do like that about Coach Cleese. He's not afraid to go for the, like, nah, we're gonna get the victory, we're gonna get out of here. Like, not gonna pull any punches with you. But yeah, man, instant classic, double overtime. South Walton takes it 38-36 over Wakulla. Keeping it rolling, Bay a big winner over South Walton. This was a little bit closer than what we thought as well. Bay was able to handle business, though, against Walton with the victory. Bay is sitting now, I believe their only loss was against Madison County earlier in the year. They're sitting at what looks to be 7-1. So they close out the season against Rutherford and Bozeman. Bay's got their eyes on several things. Number one, they want that county championship because they were able to upend Mosley to start the season. They've got their eyes on the district title, and then they definitely are trying to get Bay County bragging rights with the win over their last 2 opponents are Bay County opponents. I know Coach Brown has his eye on the Bay County title. But they're sitting very good in the point standings as well. For Bay, it's really just, I think they're sitting at number 2. Have to pull that up and check again. But Bay in great position right now for the playoffs as things get closer Bay in 3A, sitting at number 3, right behind Reigns and Bishop Kenny. So
Wow.
again,
You don't have to face them right away. Man.
Oh yeah, it's tough now. It's tough on I-10. It's tough on I-10. If you're gonna
I
play
think
football on I-10, you gotta be ready to go.
I think I forgot what was that last year or the year before that they had to go all the way to Jacksonville to play a game. Uh, it is so difficult in that division to play because look at Reigns was a state runner up last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Lost only to Miami Northwestern. Man, and that's a tough matchup. And you get in the playoffs and you got to face teams like that. But look like if they're seated where they are, they should get a couple of rounds before they have to face one of those teams. So I watched the game. I was surprised how close it was. Walton has struggled with teams all year these last few weeks, and for them to hang in that game with Bay High School, which I thought who had in the past had put away teams like that early.
Yeah, it was impressive from Walton. There was a good performance. They got up early and they kind of dictated things early in the game. I'm thinking from what we've seen the last couple chunk of the season, is Bay County the best second half team in Florida? The way they're able to kind of come back on all these teams and with the fourth quarter heroics. But we see the long kind of touchdown coming up here, the big strike. I think that was to Robert Morse early. Yeah. And then they had another touchdown shortly after that. But they led Bay, and they had it going on early, kind of dominating pace. They were able to turn Bay over a little bit and get after the quarterback and keep this thing close for a little bit. But Bay powered through, and you start to see a lot of times, sometimes your ballers just ball out. And Xavier Morgan's one of my favorite here in North Florida.
Fun to watch, man. He has been fun to watch this past season. One of the more dynamic quarterbacks. I mean, we got a ton of dynamic quarterbacks in the area, but man, he hasn't been talked about enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look at how these passes are. Oh, nice pass up the middle right there. Yeah, I want to say this was one of those games where Bay High was yet again tested. I feel like, what is it? The Bay Tornadoes have only been tested like maybe 3 times this season, I would say. And yeah, it's nothing like getting. This game was home or away?
It was at home. This is Coach Brown going up against the former team because he used to coach at Walton.
Yeah, he was offensive coordinator at Walton before he came back to
Walton definitely, despite coming up short, they definitely wanted to make a statement against the former coach. There. Nice pass.
Bay can beat you in so many different ways. They've been very dynamic on offense this past season, and it really is kind of a you're not the thing that I like to look at is that especially when I watch them offensively, they've been very dynamic on offense, but you're not really sure who's getting the ball. You got to kind of cover. It feels like you're covering 8 guys because they literally could do a play action, and the running back could go for just as easily 50 yards as any of their passing attack. It's just one of those things where it's just like they've got a ton of weapons there, and I think offensively, this has been a team that is. I hate to kind of speculate, but this is a team that could really kind of up in a couple of those heavyweights that we were just talking about. Because when you look at the rankings again, where Bay sits, they're in the number 3 spot with Bishop Kenny ahead of them. We had a chance to see Bishop Kenny a little bit when they played Rickards earlier a couple of weeks back. But after them, it goes 4 spot Yulee, 5 spot Wakulla, 6 spot Baker County, 7 spot West Florida, and then at number 8 there's Godby. So everything kind of counts going into the last stretch because after Godby is Mendez and then Swanee. So it's like you're really looking at and of course the points really drop off after Menendez because between Mendez and Godby, I think is 100th of a point, and after that you're at 4 points solid. It really falls off a cliff after that. So Yeah, that top region is really almost about set. Gabi has some work to do. They got to play Lincoln this week. But when you look at Bay, the remaining schedule for them looks very favorable. Especially if they can add, if they can pour on the points, they might be able to inch up above. They might be able to have some a little bit of a boost that would put them back into the number 2 spot above Bishop Kenny. So the Crusaders sitting at 6-2, and Bay has the better record, but in the point standings, I think they trail Bishop Kenny by like almost like 600 or 700 of a point. So it's very close there in that particular part of the region. But yeah, Rain's sitting up at the top and Bay sitting in that number 3 spot. But it'll be very interesting because Wakulla sitting at number 5. There's a universe where they could draw Bay in the playoffs as a first round matchup, just depending on how things fall. Wakulla also has a big matchup against Baker County to try to close out the district this Friday. So we'll get into that in just a minute. To keep it rolling, North Bay Haven falls to Cottondale 48-22. Taylor County, a big winner over Suwannee, and the woes continue for the Bulldogs out in Live Oak as they fall to Taylor County, their rival, 35-25. And Taylor County looking really good right now as they are entering into the latter 2 weeks of the season. They have Mariana and at Leon to close out the regular season. Schedule looks real favorable for the Bulldogs as well. We had a chance to talk about how things look around, and you know, for Taylor, they're sitting in the number 4 spot in the rural. So still great spot to be in. They trail Chiefland by a full point, somebody they failed to in the regular season. Their only loss really above them by a full point is Hawthorne, and then of course there's a juggernaut that is Bluntstown. We'll talk about them as they had just a 59 zip drubbing of Northview. I don't see anybody standing in Bluntstown's way as they close out the regular season. The Tigers, I think, only have one game left to play in the regular season, and I think that's against Holmes County. So that'll be an interesting matchup. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Leon falls to Bradford 45-10 on the road. Lions now sitting at I believe 3-5 on the year. They got a big matchup coming up against Childs. We'll get into that in just a minute as well. Holmes County, a big winner, and we had a spirited discussion between John Brock and Michael Junkin earlier. I definitely got to talk about Holmes County. I don't know. We mentioned earlier where, you know, honestly, man, you look at just the fact that, man, Holmes County could be undefeated, and this could be the last real test for Bluntstown coming up. But with them handling business against Mariana, Holmes County is just sitting in that peculiar spot because of the 3 losses at the beginning of the year. And you know, it just kind of puts them in a really weird space because for Holmes County, they're sitting at, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're sitting at the number 18 or 19 spot, and they really need some help to kind of get in, and they've got a huge coming up where I don't know if they're going to get any help coming up from Bluntstown. So every game for the Blue Devils is going to count, and it just feels kind of unfortunate because they are literally just a hair away from being, I would say, probably one of the top teams in the area.
Well, that game, I feel kind of bad. Holmes got to go into. Is the game at Bluntstown? Where is it being played?
We'll talk about it, but I think I think Holmes County hosts.
Yeah, it's in Bonifay. Yeah, and they actually could benefit from that situation. And I was hoping that we would talk some rural ball because the chat has been begging for some rural conversation.
Yeah, I had to kind of save it for a minute.
But yeah, and so they were getting excited about it. But yeah, Madison County did play Rains. They were talking about them as well. They were getting excited about it. But yeah, Holmes County, they're going to get a bump from Bluntstown. That's going to help the strength of schedule. So they could lose and still move up.
Yeah.
They could also win too.
Yeah, we've got to take a minute and really break down the rule because it's so interesting. Yes, Madison County did play Reigns. And yes, that game is in Bonifay. And that's, I mean, I got to get out there. I haven't been out to a Holmes County game in like some years. That's such a fun atmosphere to go watch a game, especially if it's against one of their rivals, especially the Chipley game. But
that feels close to home right there for me.
Yeah, Holmes County finishes like this. They finish against Bluntstown and then at Op. And Op is not that's Alabama. So I'm not really sure how that factors in. But yeah, at this point, what you would want to do if you're Holmes County, you'd want to make that Bluntstown game as close as you can get it. Just to be able to kind of show a good showing, so that you can at least nab some points. And then you probably gonna need some help too, because what's happening in the rural classification is that the teams that are sitting in front of you, Holmes County, there are teams that I would say, and going back and looking at the schedule, there are teams that a few of them they've beaten. And I think what's actually kind of hurting their schedule, they didn't get a chance to play Cottondale, which is sitting directly in front of them. They had the 1 point loss against Port St. Joe, which is, Port St. Joe is sitting in front of them by 2 spots. There's Fort White. And, when you look at it, this is like kind of where things have just kind of gone unfairly against them. But they're a full point behind Sneeds, or a point and a half behind Sneeds. And just looking at the schedule, yeah, it was those first 3 games that just kind of did it. The close loss to Bozeman, the close loss to Port St. Joe, and then not having enough quality points going down the road. And it's just kind of like, man, it sucks. I'm not really sure, how it ended up that way. But, man, this is a team that, again, like I'm saying, they're a touchdown away from being completely undefeated.
Interesting, Mark. Interesting conversation there when you're talking about these teams, because I think at the beginning of the season they lost about 1, 2, 1, like you said, but less than a touchdown. And it might come back to haunt them, because getting into that playoff spot, you said at number 18, it'll be, I think, the system's working against them if they don't make it, because they seem to be one of the better teams at this point of the season. And it'd be a travesty if they don't make the playoffs.
Well, if they don't make it, I could definitely see them being a high seed, of course, in that new FIT. That is a possibility, which, of course, you want to make the main playoff, the main rule division. But if not, I can see Holmes County going into the Florida Invitational.
If they ended up in the Invitational, I think they will almost walk away with that one. It wouldn't. It's unfair to judge a team based on the point system that we do have in place, but the way it stands now, I think if you had to look at, you don't get a chance to reverse the schedule, but if you had to play these games in a different order, I think this team probably has a different outcome, if not a better record. So it just, sometimes things just fall like that. But Holmes County is really arguably, of all the teams that we've talked about, they're in the toughest spot, I think, playoff wise. But yeah, the big 42-8 victory over Mariana definitely will help them, and they'll get that'll be a huge test in the cow pen. Thank you, Michael Duncan. The cow pen. In my opinion, that'll be the biggest test for Bluntstown. And if you can make that game close, you might be able to. You never know. You don't want to go to sleep in those kind of games, but man, Bluntstown is awfully tough this season so far. Liberty County, a big winner over Jefferson County. Liberty looks pretty good right now. They're sitting at number 12. And Liberty has really just quietly gone about their business since I would say since the week number 3 loss against Port St. Joe, they've quietly ripped off 5 straight, and the Bulldogs are really in great position. A big win over Jefferson County, of course, helps them. They close out the regular season this week at Hilliard, so that'll be another opportunity for the Bulldogs to nab some critical points as we go towards the playoffs. Let's go ahead and get to the second half or the other side of the week number 9 games. And this one not surprising, but Chipley a big winner over Destin, 31-6. The Tigers are sitting also in very good position as they're the number 9 team in the rural classification right now. So they've got a spot. They're in that middle. Could be Lafayette that they draw in the first round. Could be you hate to see the Tigers have to get back on the road and play Pahokee. That was something that they had to do last season, and we didn't get a chance to talk with their head coach about that. But that's just one of the drawbacks of the system as we get into the playoffs. Man, we we get these odd matchups where somebody's going to have to end up going down to South Florida, and it's not pretty.
Nope.
Gaston County, a big winner over Young Kids in Motion Academy, 53-0 for the Jags. Graceville Falls to Rocky Bayou Christian, 40-0. This one also surprised me a little bit. I expected Freeport to make this one a little bit closer, but the Bulldogs fall to Baker, 48-20. And Baker, John mentioned this in the chat earlier. Yeah, nobody's talking about Baker. Baker's going about their business, and absolutely, they've been one of the better teams in the rural classification. They're sitting at number 8, but their record does not reflect that. And honestly, I don't know if they played the same quality teams, but they're still sitting at 9-0. 9-0 is 9-0.
Yeah, that's very odd.
That's the one knock you can have on them, but you win all your games, you put yourself in a pretty good position. So, but to your point, the points are not liking them, so they could end up on the road. If playoffs started today, it'd be Baker Chipley.
Yeah,
that'd be a good game.
An undefeated team on the road.
It's the system, man.
Yeah, but if things ended today, that's absolutely right. It'd be Baker Chipley, which would be a heck of a matchup.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not arguing against that, but then again, it's like you, Coach Cofield, I'm traditional, man. I mean,
why you say? What trying to say?
I'm just relating.
Now check this out. Chipley closes out the regular season against they go to Monticello, they take on Jefferson County, and then they have to go down to Mayo to take on Lafayette. So that's I don't know why coaches are trying to schedule all these playoff games in the middle of the regular season, but here we are. A lot of what's going to end up happening, we're going to see a huge shakeup, of course, here in week number 10. But to round out the rest of the scores, Sneeze a big winner over Lighthouse Christian, 46-14. A big win for Sneeze, and that only helps them as they are sitting in that I believe they're sitting at number 15. I think Sneeze is right at 15 with Port St. Joe at 16. So for Sneeze, that was exactly what the doctor ordered. Sneeze will have a great opportunity here to close out the regular season. They've got a couple of they've got a rematch against what looks to be DRS at some point. I'm not sure if they ever got that one in, but that's still.
I was told that would be today.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't get no confirmation. This is from one of the teachers at the school told me that.
And then they finish at home against North Bay Haven Academy. And for Sneeze, this could be, this is, hey, get all the points you can get right now. That only helps your situation as they are sitting at number 15. Lafayette, a big winner over Trenton, 47-6. And Lafayette is sitting at the number 6 spot 7-1 record in the Fayette. It's definitely going to be one of the more dangerous teams in the rural classification. Rural is going to be absolute bloodbath in the first or second rounds. You're going to see a lot of good teams with stellar records going home early. But I mean, this is where if you want to lock into rural football, because this is where you're going to see, in my opinion, some of the best matchups in the first 2 rounds. Central handles business against Vernon. Vernon winless on the year as they fall 51-8. And, Vernon got one game. They have one game left. It does not look good as they close out the regular season against Cottondale this Friday. And that'll do it for week number 9. Let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into week number 10. Start running through some of our preview matchups. And, a lot of what I've seen so far is that, a lot of the districts are sewn up. We've got a few teams sitting in the driver's seat, but your seat ain't safe. So your seat ain't safe. Charles and Leon hooking up this Thursday, I believe.
Yep,
and
Thursday.
This will be one of those where you definitely have to keep your eye on it, because Charles has a great opportunity, in my opinion, but they are sitting. They're I think they're sitting right. It looks like they're sitting at number 9 behind. No, they're sitting at number 10 behind Matanzas. And so for Charles, this will be a huge matchup for them to kind of, still kind of get some critical points. It's really not. I don't want to say it's done for them, but you've got in region number 1, it goes in 5A region 1, it goes Mainland, then Point of Adrian. So after that, you have Mosley, Milton, and really Mosley, just by virtue of points, they're sitting maybe a 500th of a point, a half a point behind the top 2 teams. After that, it's Beachside out of St. John's, one of the newer high schools. Then Middleburg, which had a big victory last Friday. Then your Lincoln Trojans. Then Niceville, followed by Fleming Island, Matanzas, and then Childs, and then Leon. So this is one of those where, like, you get a big victory, try to get the points up, maybe tack on a few scores. But for Childs, man, that overtime, well, not overtime, but that last second loss at the Shack really is just kind of hurting the Timberwolves right now in terms of the playoff rankings. But it's still not over yet. Childs has a great opportunity, not only against Leon, but they close out the regular season versus Swanee. So, this will be one of those where the Timberwolves will be looking for everything they can get, because it will come down to these last 2 weeks for them.
Juke, I've got a question. In these upper classes, they district champs automatically in the playoffs, correct?
Correct. District
champs. So how does that affect the seeding? Do they seed it, or do they automatically get a home game if you win your district, or because team possibly get bumped out with a good record because of a district champ?
Yeah, they have switched it up.
Correct. So Coach, I love that you bring this up. You're inside my brain. So I was just looking at the bylaws today because I wanted to make sure I got it right for the discussion. You win your district in 1A and up, you're in automatically. You go straight off of the seeding, but with the automatic district champion, there's a potential, and we could see this in a couple classifications. If you're seeded below 8 or 9, you jump into that 8 spot. So, like, if you were seeded 10 but won your district, then you jump into the 8 spot, so the 8th team gets bumped out. If you are playing a first-round game, you are not guaranteed a home game by winning your district. But if you are playing a non-district champ, even if you are the worst seed, you could still host. For example, in this situation, you could get the 8 seed, you could get, let's say, 6 seed, because that's more kind of logical or I guess playable. You could get a 6 seed, win your district, and host, because the 3 seed that you're playing is a non-district champion. That only applies in the first round because they wanted to give a
Didn't
little
we
more
see
love.
something like that between McClay and John Paul last year? Didn't that kind of play out a little bit?
Yeah, there's also stuff with technically John Paul's field isn't playoff worthy, so there's other stuff involved there. But yeah, you have the flipping of the district champ and that kind of stuff. So a couple of matters at play there, but it's possible to be seeded as the worst seed and still host. And then it's also possible to be seeded below 8 and get into the field. So I love thinking about it as March Madness. You got a bid steal potential. You win your district, it's like a conference champ. You get the automatic bid. Potentially, you could bump somebody out, and so that's where there's kind of a weird playability. If that makes sense. Does that answer your question, Coach?
Yeah, I was wondering how they did it. I know they did it with seeding, but I didn't know. You think about it, teams with better records, better points could get bumped out by a district champ. So, gotta win your district. You won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's still got some of that old school feel to it. You know, you can still get in.
Yeah, I mean,
look at it.
It sounds like they still keep it somewhat old school, but then again, you know, it's like you said, Jupe. Yes, you're not guaranteed a home game no more. That's just the only difference now of being a district champ. And in this case for Childs, you know, they still have playoff hopes alive. Plus, I also feel like your overall record also has a part in it too, because I mean, I've seen district champs with even 5-5 records still have to go on the road and stay on the road. There are some 5-5 teams I saw in different playoffs last year to win their first round, but they still remained on the road. So I think Childs definitely wants to close out the season like winning out and get to that 6-4 mark. You know, as for the Lions, you know, they would like to get close to within 500 and maybe have a playoff shot too. You never know. Infamous amounts of possibilities go into this matchup this Friday. I mean Thursday night.
Yeah.
As Jude.
Realistically, for the Childs people, it's happening again. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
They've got to win out. It's happening again. They're gonna have to win out, and they're gonna need some help.
There it is.
Big help.
There it is.
That's kind of, you know, they played a solid.
The Florida High game really, really hurt. And I just I hate that it matched up that way because you rip off 3 straight, and that really is what's holding the schedule together. But the last 2 losses between Florida High and Lincoln, not doing the Timberwolves any favors, and neither is the Godby loss. So it's just kind of like those right there together just are kind of putting the Timberwolves season in the throes. And then again, it's who's sitting in front of them. That's really. Because when you look at the points, there's, of course, you get a bit of a gap there after what Beachside, who has 10 points, then you fall to 9.9, Middleburg 8.5, Lincoln. Then you drop down a little bit more with Niceville at 5.1. Then there's Childs at 1.5. So they've got a significant chunk they've got to make up in like 2 games. They really need a Matanzas loss and a Fleming Island loss to kind of give them, a little bit of hope there. And hopefully they'll have to get of course they'll have to really pour it on against Leon to close out the season, and then of course Swanee. So it's happening again according to Jude. But this will be for otherwise it'll be, if this game is close, it'll be definitely fighting for pride as opposed to a playoff spot. So we'll keep an eye on things as it unfolds on Friday night. We'll have a playoff show coming up. But keeping it rolling, we got Bay taking on Rutherford. And this one, Bay is just on a tear, really trying to wrap up the county championship. I know that's important to them, but sitting at 7-1, taking on 2-6 Rutherford. Rutherford really had a golden opportunity to try and secure the district championship and just did not get it done against Bozeman last week, and that may have all but shut the door on their playoff hopes. Uh, barring anything strange happening against the North Bay Haven matchup with Bozeman. We'll get into that in just a second. But there's a little crease of an opportunity there. It's small, but it's a little one. Lincoln taking on Gabi, and this is a classic matchup. I don't care. You throw the records out. I liken this one to just clean old fashioned hate. We don't like y'all. they don't they don't like us. Type of matchup. It really just depends on. I'm interested to see which Gabi defense shows up. If if anything, Gabi's been playing a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde, and so has Lincoln been, especially with that ground game. So it'll really come down to Gabi's defense versus Lincoln ground attack. If Gabi is able to put together 4 quarters, I think this one will be close. Lincoln will be looking to pull away from this one. And while we're at it, while we're talking about Lincoln, I want to give a shout out to our guy, Jonathan Ferris. Happy birthday, man. Hope you enjoy it. Big time, long time Lincoln supporter, Jonathan Ferris. Happy birthday to you, my friend. But yeah, this will be a classic matchup between Trojans and Cougars. This is a good old fashioned city rivalry. Really like the way that Jacobs looked in the, especially using his legs against Trinity Christian. Really just in the loss, one of the bright spots. Gabi looking to get back on the winning side of things, seeing that they can steal one. But both teams, really for Gabi, this is more critical for them because their playoff hopes are hanging in the balance. If you look at how things are shaping up in their classification, Gabi is really sitting at, if I'm not mistaken, they're sitting somewhere around the right at the A spot, and really Menendez is nipping right at their heels. There is, I want to say, maybe like just a tenth of a point or something like that between the two schools. So Gabi will need every little bit of help that they can get from some other teams, and they'll need to figure out a way to make this one close or try to steal the victory away from Lincoln. Lincoln, we went over their kind of playoff matchups. Lincoln sitting right there in the middle. Looks like there's a universe where Lincoln could draw Mosley in the first round. So that would be a huge matchup for both the Dolphins and the Trojans. But for right now, this will just kind of be one of those matchups where just, teams playoff implications definitely on the line for the Cougars. Lincoln really playing for what would be a better seeding spot, as Middleburg and Beachside are sitting ahead of them by a couple of points. Ricker,
Mark, you kind of ran it. It's kind of funny, these two local schools, Gabi and Lincoln, always in a battle, and you think that Gabi, with all the issues that they had during the season, it would be I wouldn't say amazing, but for them to make the playoffs would be some kind of special thing. You have to give Coach Austin a lot of credit for holding things together with all the drama that began the season, and it ain't easy going through things, trying to keep a season together, trying to keep a lot of young men headed in the right direction. And if they could manage to upset a Lincoln Trojan team, that would be an amazing feat.
Absolutely. I mean, and plus, when you look at the history of this matchup and what it means to both programs, with both, teams being so familiar with one another. I think I remember at one point Under Armour had this game as like one of their special rivalry trophy series games and stuff, which I think that trophy is still in Godby's trophy case in their gym. So it's a game of big importance to both teams and their programs.
I want to say there's probably been more big names to play in this game. When you think about the number of guys that Lincoln and both schools have sent to the college ranks and the league, I want to say probably more big names have been in this game than maybe any other. Historically, you probably have to look at a Lincoln and Leon, or just going all the way back. But this game has had a who's who of just future NFL stars in it, and really this year it may not be any different in terms of the collegiate talent that's on both rosters. There's definitely a lot of D1 guys that'll be playing in this game. It should be very entertaining, but for right now, I would definitely look more so at the. It's really probably going to be more so the playoff implications than anything. So,
Playoff
meanwhile,
game for
across
Godby.
town. Oh, go ahead.
They got to have it.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to have it.
Right there on the
How
line.
you doing? You said like it's close.
It really is right there. Meanwhile, Ricker's taking on Arnold. Both teams sitting at 2-6. Raiders season has not gone the way we anticipated. And yet there's still a universe, if I'm not mistaken. Rickers just wasn't they weren't so far removed, but really sitting in 4A in Region 1. If I'm not mistaken, Rickers has a playoff spot. Yeah. Crazy how that works.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild ride. The haters will tell you that Rickard's is on the way down, but the FHSA standings will tell you that Rickard's on the way up. They jumped from the 8th seed to the 6th seed right now. So
amazing.
I'm trying to bring up the chart right here.
Now, sitting at the top of 4A, it goes St. Augustine, Choctaw. Both teams are 8-0. Then Columbia. Columbia sitting at 7-1, and their only loss was to St. Augustine. After that, you have Ed White, and then everything points wise like goes into oblivion. Ed White sitting at a full 7 points above Pine Forest, who is above Rickards. And then it's Scambia and Rickards and Pine Forest are sitting at 2-6, respectively. Escambia, and then you got to get all the way to Riverside to close out the top 8, and Booker T. Washington out of Pensacola. There is a universe where if Arnold can get the win, they could get into that number 8 spot. Now, I don't know what that would do to Ricker's chances, but right now it's just strength of schedule and a little bit of duct tape that's holding it together for the Raiders right now.
Hey, man, you didn't say that about Garvey. Hey, we might have a little help from the Flash. Don't worry about it. Earth 2.
Hey, playoffs is playoffs. It don't really matter.
Once you get there,
it
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
everybody's 0-0. That's good.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's just, you're going to end up matched up where who you're going to end up matched up with. But right now, it looks like Ricketts would draw either Columbia or Ed White, which could be favorable. It just depends on, how the Raiders show up in that game. Looks like they definitely end up being on the road, though. I'm not sure what the district standings look like. I think they're
Choctaw.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which is crazy. Just how the disparaging differences in the records. But yeah, both teams sitting at 2-6, and both of them got to have it. So Rickards hosting Arnold. Battle of who's going to draw, I guess, either the A seed or the remain in the 5th seed spot. So Raiders still sitting with everything in front of them. And for Rickards, they close out against Lincoln on October 31st. Happy Halloween.
Mark, let me make this clear. It's better to be in playoff contention week 8 than week 2. Okay. Go Raiders, baby.
Get in and start praying. Yep. Columbia, Choctaw, St. Augustine at the top of that bracket.
0-0, baby, everybody.
There you go.
Anything is possible.
Raiders 2-6, Arnold 2-6 will be a fun one. And I believe that one's going on Thursday night as well. So we'll get our answers before the break of dawn on Friday. We'll know how things will be rolling out for the Raiders. 2-6 Marianna hosting 7-1 Taylor County, and for Taylor County, this is really for them to see. And honestly, it's them and Chiefland right now, and really the only thing that's separating them is just the loss that they had to the Indians earlier in the season. Now they trailed Chiefland by a full point. Above them is Hawthorne, who had the big win over Florida High earlier in the year. They're sitting at 6-1, and then of course Bluntstown, but that will be a big, not a big matchup, but that'll be kind of the only real thing for Taylor County to look at is just how to get maybe if they can close the gap a little bit. They still have Leon, which will count big towards their point efforts to close out the regular season. But this one taking place in Mariana, Bulldogs 2-6 hosting 71 Taylor County. Bluntstown taking on Holmes County at 5-3, and we just got finished kind of talking about this a little bit, but man, for Bluntstown, this could be the only real test that they see to close out the regular season. This will be it for them as they will have the bye week on the last week of the regular season, and then of course there's a built-in bye, so Bluntstown will get a nice 2-week break. And they'll definitely want to end it on a high note. They are the number one seed right now in the rural classification. Holmes County on the outside looking in still, but man, with the way Holmes County is playing and looking at the record, with the amount of close losses, this could be a real test that they give Bluntstown. And this game is going to be at the cow pen. In the cow pen.
Coach, question for you. Do you take anything about that, or what do you think of a 2-week break towards the end of the season? Or is that just something we like to talk about?
I would hate it. Because you get in a rhythm. You continue, your kids can used to doing the same thing over and over. And then they're taking a 2-week break, which I think is terrible because you got to get back in step. You got a routine that you're used to doing. Every week I'm playing a game. On Monday we do this, Tuesday, Wednesday, each day got something different. And then we got 2 weeks where we don't play a game. Man, I would hate that. I would totally hate that.
Huh.
Yeah, from a practice standpoint, I can still see them, but it's nothing like the game routine. When you're off, you don't go through the same. Your practice week is scheduled a little bit different, and then looking at what people forget, around this time of year, like you start to get a little bit closer. Like classwork starts to pick up around that November period. You got distractions going on, homecoming, all this other stuff happening, and it can be a little bit off-putting because what'll happen this year is that Thanksgiving will be on week number 3 of the playoffs. So
love it. I used to love that.
Yeah, you'll have kind of a weird, in terms of academics, you'll have a weird kind of like hiccup there. With that bye week built in, but yeah, I don't know if I'd like that either. I could take the 1 week off, but I don't know if I want to lose that much momentum. It's almost like when colleges have bowls and the team has too much time off.
Yeah, the only way it really helps if you got an injured player and one of your critical people will have a chance to heal and come back. Maybe like you lost a player the last week of the season. Because I remember when you went into the playoffs, and my starting guard and my fullback got concussions in the last week of the season. Well, the fullback came back in a week, but we lost that guard. He was critical to our playoff run, and he was out. He didn't get to come back. And if we'd had another week, he probably would have been able to play, which is especially with a smaller school like us. Each player, we only had like 30 kids. It hurts when you lose one player because they're usually critical to what you do. So that 2-week period is going to help some people because they're going to get a chance to bring players back that probably would have missed the playoffs had they not had the 2-week break. But normally your routines are messed up. You get out of rhythm. You got to get you once you get in sync, you kind of when you're going in the playoffs, you get in sync. you kind of hitting your stride. When you get to, you're taking a couple of weeks off, you got to regenerate, restart. It's like starting a new season, starting over. And you might not be as attuned as you might be had you played the next week. I like it going into the week. I don't like that break. I like to continue to play.
So with this one, again, we talked about it where, Bluntstown really sitting in the driver's seat. After that, it goes Hawthorne, Chiefland, Taylor County, Pahokee, your top 5. And if it ended, it looks like Bluntstown would draw Port St. Joe. Now, if I'm not mistaken, don't they get a bye in the first round? Okay. All right. So no bye in the first round. But yeah, that would be an absurd 3 weeks off.
That was 6 years ago. They changed the rules so much.
But
that was with the 12.
Looking on the outside in, and they're sitting at number 18, and it's just it's weird. But right now, they'll need some help, and they'll have to make this one to a major upset in order to be able to get back into the playoffs, where they'll probably drop Bluntstown again.
It ain't over. It ain't over today until it's over. No telling.
Killing the giant is another giant. Keeping it rolling, Cottondale taking on winless Vernon. Cottondale sitting at 5-3 in a comfortable spot, and they're in what looks not a comfortable spot, but they are sitting above Holmes County in the number 17 slot with some work to do. So they'll need this one. And for Cottondale, it looks like for them, they'll close out the season at Graceville. So no more quality opponents, but they'll need all the points they can get if they want to be able to sneak into the playoffs as well. North Bay Haven and Bozeman linking up. This one, Bozeman can wrap up the district championship with a victory. Both teams, I think this one will be hosted at North Bay Haven. Bozeman sitting at 5-3. North Bay Haven sitting at 3-5. Jefferson County hosting Chipley. Tigers sitting at 7-1. And one of the top teams in the rural classification for Jefferson. We had a chance to talk about this earlier. They'll end up closing the season out against Chipley. For the Tigers, they still have another date with Lafayette, which will be a very interesting matchup for both teams with playoff implications, seeding spots on the line in that one. NFC will be taking on, we were taking on, and I think I have that one wrong. Let me double check. Make sure. I think we was taking on Jay.
Let me look at my pick.
NFC is playing. No, NFC is taking on Freeport. So that's my fault. Messed that one up. But NFC taking on Freeport. NFC is hosting Free. No, is it Free? No, are they off? No, it's Franklin County.
Apologies for the confusion, ladies and gentlemen.
NFC playing Franklin.
Yeah, so we got the logos right. We got the names wrong. So
yeah.
And Freeport is playing Walton. I knew it. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I was like, let me double check. So NFC is taking on Franklin. This will be an interesting one. We talked about where Franklin is sitting, and really for the Seahawks, a lot of what. And I was trying to find it. Let me see if I can pull it back up. See exactly where Franklin is. And I think Franklin was sitting. This might be an Ask Juke question. I think Franklin was sitting at what? They were somewhere, I think outside of the top 16.
Well, Franklin, we got to go to SSAA.
Yeah.
I don't think Franklin's they're not double qualified.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're exclusive this year, from my understanding.
I want to say in the Atlantic division.
Yeah, and he's our SSAA guy.
Yeah, in the Atlantic Division, at one point, Franklin was like top 15, top 10. They may have dropped down some, and I think the playoffs for the Atlantic Division of the SSAA is 8 teams. So I don't know. There's several good teams in the SSAA that are like one loss, some undefeated. But then again, I also that it also goes by strength of schedule too for them. So I don't know if Franklin County will be in the playoff. They may not be. I'll have to double check myself when I can, obviously.
Oh,
but
you got to be on it. Ask Eddie.
I'm trying to, Coach, but I think honestly, if they have overall better records are playoff teams in the SSAA, like teams that are slightly at 500 or above. And here's the weird thing about it: last season too, there were several teams that forfeit as well. That was another thing. I think a school by the name of Fernandez was in a first round against some school that's team like forfeited, and then the winner between Frostproof and American Heritage went on to play Fernandez in the next round. So that's, I think, how it works, is what teams are going to be willing to pursue the playoff run in the Atlantic Division of the SSAA and which ones will not.
Wow.
It's still brand new. The SSAA is still brand new with their classifications and everything. They got 22 teams in the Atlantic Division, and they have a total of 50 plus teams in their higher divisions. They have a 1A through 5A that they're still like organizing and sorting out. Those are the schools like Glades Day, Lake Highland Prep, and a few others. The Atlantic Division is schools like Alcilla Christian, Franklin County, American Heritage from Delray Beach, and LaBelle, who just recently went undefeated. And Space Coast, a team that Baker Mayfield helped supply helmets to, that won the 1A Atlantic State Championship last year.
Now for NFC, they got to have this one because they are sitting, I think, at number 9.
It's 8 slots for the region.
Yeah, 8 slots.
So
they got a chance. They've got a real chance.
They're breathing. They do.
Yeah.
And again,
less than a point behind NFEI, North Florida Educational.
And they would probably need them to lose a game as well. If not, then like the rural division schools, yes, the FIT is also accepted this year to Class 1A and 2A teams. They expanded the tournament to 36 teams this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So everybody could be playing on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I wanted to state that earlier that yes, FIT is 36 teams and is open to only rural class 1A and 2A.
That's going to be wild. That's
yeah.
So crazy.
NFC chances, though. Freeport, Franklin County, both with good records, should be competitive.
Yeah.
NFC doors definitely not closed for the Eagles.
Man, you just want a trophy. That's all. You win a championship, get a trophy, maybe. They don't know. It look just like they all look alike.
Dude,
state champs?
Yeah.
Well, I think that will bring up. I think we'll have that later on as we break down the playoffs for 1A through 7A. We'll probably do a special on the FIT. Don't you think, guys?
You talking? I don't care. Whatever you want to do, Eddie, it's on you.
I'm just.
We're gonna talk about Avon Park. Don't worry about it.
I didn't say that.
I know you. I'm just joking with you, Eddie. Don't take it serious.
Yeah, I'm with Coach. We never talk about South River High School as much as we need to.
Hey,
if it's working, it's working. I think honestly, if you can get in, like it just makes for an entertaining postseason. But for NFC to be this close, I was trying to look up NFEI's record. I mean, looking at what their schedule looks like, but I I think they've got they're sitting at
Oak
4-4, and they've got Okal.
and because Oakall's pretty good. They're about, I think they're 5-3, but then they got a winnable game against Duval Charter. I think
Yeah.
Duval Charter's like 3-6. So you kind of see it balance out. Maybe NFEI goes 1-1. They get a little help with the Ocall, but they get penalized for the Duval Charter game. So I think NFC's got to win at least one, give himself a reasonable chance based on the points and the kind of tertiary. But they're very close. So they're kind of on a knife's edge, both those teams.
Absolutely. Keeping it rolling, Columbia with can probably close out. I believe Columbia can close out the district if and they've got the district loss against St. Augustine, but they have a final district matchup against Clay. This will kind of cement them, or at least they'll be a little bit more cemented in terms of being able to be in their playoff spot. Kind of looks like, if I'm not mistaken, so they're third after St. Augustine and Choctaw. Both of those teams are 8-0. Columbia, it looks like if they were to win, they could draw Rickards potentially, or an Escambia in the first round, but they'll take on 2-6 Clay this Friday. This is where things get interesting, because Wakulla taking on Baker could have some implications on the district. War Eagles are the host, as they host Baker County, who's sitting at 4-4. But if the War Eagles lose, that opens the door for and I'm not sure, would it be a 3-way tie?
Yeah, so it'd be a full-blown 3-way tie, Gabi, Baker, Wakulla, and then they'll go straight points, which they're all very close on points as well. So
they don't they don't do a playoff scenario for that? Oh man, that was fun.
Wait, so no jamboree type style or anything. What is it? Coin flip? Not even a coin flip.
Points. Man, I enjoyed it.
And the reason why is because there was one year we had the hurricane, and then the makeup games. I mean, it was a nightmare trying to get those. And there was like somewhere like there was like a dozen or so 3-way ties across the state, and teams were playing any night they could grab except for Sunday. Like they were getting them in on Monday night. And this is this is the week before the playoffs. So you had a few teams that ended up having to like make up a pair of district games, and then they were in a 3-way tie. So you played on Friday, then you turn around, you play on Monday, then you got to play again on Thursday, because you got to get all those games in. It was a nightmare. But I do miss that too. We played it. We ended up in a 3-way tie when I was playing. There was nothing. I mean, nothing beat getting on that bus and going into the other team's place and then coming out with the victory. And now we got a secure playoff spot. So I do miss the excitement. I know Lincoln, there was one year Lincoln, Childs, and Leon were all in that 3-way tie. That was probably one of the more entertaining matchups I've seen. But yeah, with the logistics now, I don't know if we'd be opening Pandora's box again.
You never know. History can tend to repeat itself sometimes. You never know.
So Wakulla right now, they're sitting comfortably in the number 5 spot, but there's I would say there's probably like maybe a half a point between them and Baker County right now, with Gabi on the outside looking in. So in between them, there's West Florida. And honestly, for Wakulla, this is one where I would just consider that you got to have it, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you got to sweat through the points again, because that could really shake some things up. But looking at it right with the way things are sitting, if Wakulla can win outright, that gives them not only a district championship, but the potential at being able to host as well. Keeping it rolling, South Walton taking on Pensacola Catholic. Seahawks hitting the road, where we've already talked about them being a different team when they're on the road. But they take on a 7-1 Pensacola Catholic team. And I believe for South Walton, this district matchup for them, is probably going to decide quite a few things because for the Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken, and South Walton's in what I think they're in 4A,
2A.
2A.
Because Peak Pensacola Catholic is 2A in the same district. And that is
so it's literally Bowles, Pensacola Catholic, and Sowall, with the Seahawks sitting at 6-2. So there's still a lot to play for. You definitely want to keep your advantage. And honestly, really, right now, I'd be trying to stay as far away from Florida High as possible. Florida High sitting in that number 4 spot by virtue of just who they played. But again, you don't want to dip in the points and end up kind of redrawing the Seminoles in that first round. There's a universe where it could happen, but for right now, in 2A, it's Bowles sitting at 7-1, with a nice 8-point gap between them, Pensacola Catholic, and then South Walton, Baldwin, Florida High, Freeport, Bozeman, sitting in at number 6. Andrew Jackson, and then if they were eligible, would have been the Gadsden County Jaguars at number 8, and that's just how it just draws up like that. But by virtue of the Jags not being eligible for the postseason, you plug in Walton, and right behind Walton, if it were to end today, would be Rutherford.
So, interesting.
2A probably has the biggest gaps between the haves and the have-nots. Everything just falls off a cliff after Florida High, really, in the points. But
it's all about the districts, baby. So you think about that North Bay Haven Bozeman matchup.
Yeah, put that on
North Bay Haven, if they pull the upset, Rutherford wins the district. They jump up, bid steal, automatic. Bozeman wins it. They take care of it themselves. You go down to South Walton, Pensacola Catholic. That's a district championship, outright winner take all. And so storylines, chaos in 2A.
You say it's about the districts. Okay.
Right now, it looks like if things held, you would end up with probably a Bozeman, South Walton first round, somewhere in there. Florida High, Freeport, somewhere in there. It just, like I said, if I'm Sowall, I want to avoid Florida High as much as possible. Port St. Joe at Baker undefeated, but again, kind of could throw out the record. The record, is the record. But again, quality teams could be an issue. Port St. Joe really has played up and played very well. Has quality wins against, if I'm not mistaken, they got huge one against Rutherford on the road. And then opening up the season against Holmes County, that was a big win. And then also a big win over Liberty County as well. And those are some top teams in the rural classification. Dropped 3 straight to Youngstown, Leon, and then Bozeman, respectively. It's really just more so. I think if you're Port St. Joe, you just want to take this one too. You get them at home, and then you close out the season at Destin. Really, just probably the best opportunity for the Tiger Sharks to really bolster their positioning right now.
Yeah, the way things are down there, feels like they need to win out. Anybody's liable to jump into that 16 spot, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, Fort White, Cottondale, Holmes County, J. Everybody's invited to that party right now.
Yeah, your seat ain't safe, as it were. Rounding out week number 10, we have Florida High taking the trip down to the O, take on Bishop Moore, and this one's going to be another huge test for Florida High. Bishop Moore is undefeated right now, and I think Jackets are in 1A?
Ask Drew.
Bishop Moore.
3A.
Yeah, 3A. Okay.
The Orlando Bishop Moore, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 3A.
How many Bishop Moores are in Florida? What, 2, 3?
Who can keep track? There's more every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, huge test for Florida High. as they take on Bishop Moore on the road. And man, you look right just to the right of that. There's Madison County, and they got a date with a Popka, but the Blue Darters are 1-6. That gives breathes some life into the chances of Madison County, respectively. But man, tough matchups for both teams as we close out the regular season. You really just want teams to stay healthy. That's really all you can expect. Sewanee taking on Atlantic, and for the Bulldogs, just been tough goings for this season as they try to. I think they've got a date against Leon to close out the regular season. At Childs to close out the regular season Thursday night of next week. Liberty County taking on Hilliard. Liberty County, great positioning right now. Wants to keep things rolling against the Flashes. They'll get an opportunity on Friday night. Weaver Hitchcock taking on Jay. Gators sitting at 3-3. The Royals at 1-7. I want to double check just to make sure I got that right. Just to be sure, but Weaver stole a victory last year in the Invitational, which was, for them that was pretty what looks to be like a pretty good opportunity again for them this season. Eddie, you said it was 32 teams that get in?
36. What I read
36.
off of the article on FHSAA and everything is that now that the rule fit last season was experimental with 12 teams all rule, but now the fit has expanded it to, I believe it was 36 teams. And it's a mixture. It's not just rule. It'll be rule classification, Class 1A and Class 2A only. So you're going to have a mix of all three of those classifications in that tournament.
So update on the records. Weaver Hitchcock is 2-5 and Jay is 4-4. So excuse me on the typo on the records right there. But Gators will get a chance to see if they can grab another victory against an upstart J team. Auxilla Christian sitting at 7-1, hosting Scintilla, who was 0-5 according to Max Preps. And that will be, I don't know that Auxilla has another game scheduled after this. And I'm going to check the schedule real fast, see what the Warriors look like in the final 2 weeks. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that was a makeup game, Mark. I think they played that either yesterday or today.
Okay.
Auxilla won pretty convincingly.
Yeah, 33 zips. So that one already in the books. And I don't have anything else on the Warriors schedule. And according to their athletic director, it's just kind of one of those things where they try to take what they can get before the kids have to transition. Auxilla is just one of those smaller schools that has to share players, and I think they try to make their schedule according to what kind of numbers they have. So that will do it for the Warriors, and they get ready for the hardwood unless they are planning on entering into the Invitational. And really for the Warriors, you couldn't ask for a better year from a great group of kids. So that makeup game already in the books. Auxilla Christian a winner already over Scintilla 33-0. Freeport taking on Walton. This one going to be an interesting matchup. Hamilton County taking on Fort White, and then Lafayette will be taking on Branford to round out the slate for week number 10. And man, we tried to mix in some playoff implications in there going over scheduling, but man, week number 10 is going to have everything you want as far as being able to see who's going to be able to squeak into the playoffs. I mean, it's right there on the edge for a lot of teams. But that will do it for this week's edition of the Extra Point. Another 2-hour run, but hey, we had to go through it all. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We will catch everybody next week on another edition of the Extra Point, where we will definitely be going into what I would feel like what would be some locks for the playoffs as we wrap up district play this week. So for the rest of the gang, I'm Mark Adams, Coach Cofield, Eddie Quincus Jr., and Eddie Jupe. This is the Extra Point, 4 Quarters Online. We'll catch everybody next week.